Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. Today, after a very long time, I have a guest here with me. I don't know if any of you would know, but he's one of the oldest friends that I have here in Estonia. Like, we've been knowing each other for almost 10 years, and we've been like going through ups and downs of life all these years together. And finally, after a lot of back and forth and negotiation, I finally was able to get Taavi with me on the podcast. So it's a really great thing to be here. And one of the very important topics, or like very interesting topics, was to just get this idea of like, what is it like being a man in Estonia, because that is a topic that I think many I haven't talked about it so much in my videos and with my guests as well. So, Taavi, welcome. Great to have you.
Yeah,
finally took the courage, and then now you're here, and I'm really glad that you're here. So I think I want to start with first a little bit of your introduction. So, like for the viewers that don't know about you.
Yeah, well, hello everybody. Yeah, from me as well. So I'm Manan's so-called university friend.
Yeah, we met in the university when I got enrolled.
That was like master's degree and design and engineering, and that is perhaps also a good introduction. That it's I'm involved in somewhat engineering type of things by myself. I grew up in Tartu, and then to university I came to TalTech, and then been on different engineering positions, also some maybe more like general business positions, but now back on engineering. And yeah, that's me when it comes to, let's say, professional things. I have 2 kids and a wife, and yeah, now
You're like a family guy.
Yeah, we are like one family here. So
yeah, and I think this is also something interesting that I would like to talk about as well, because when we first met each other, you were like just a single guy, right?
yeah,
you were just a single guy, and then over the course of these 10 years, got a job, lost job, got into other different areas, and then you found someone, married, then have kids. So it's I mean, these past years, 10 years, have been very transformative, and it's very interesting to see that how far you and me both have come in life ahead, and in these stages of life. So I think what I want to ask you a little bit more is that because we're almost like similar age as well.
I'm 32 years old, if somebody wants to.
Yeah, but I'm older than you, so
33 now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Old enough not to remember my age.
Yeah. Yeah, it happens. And after a certain time, you tend to
calculate. That's what.
Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
You tend to calculate. You have to remember. Okay, I was born in like 87, and now I'm this much old.
Yeah.
But what I would like to know about a little is that growing up in Estonia in like 90s, Tartu.
Yeah.
How was it like in general, like being a kid in? I think it was just immediately after the independence, right? So how was it like?
Yes. Well, from the childhood, I remember, Tartu being a nice Estonian city. So I do need to bring out that it was pretty interesting to listen to your previous guest, Steven, talk about life in Tallinn. nothing like this. That was really interesting or surprising for me to hear, because nothing like this was happening there. No issues with safety and stuff. Already on the first grade, around like 7 years old, I happened to sometimes walk by myself in the city and so on.
At 7 years old.
At 7 years old, yeah.
Pretty.
Going to, I think, at this like second half of the first grade school year, I already started going to school by myself, alone with a bus, coming back like this. So that was really normal. And I didn't go to a nearby school. I went to, well, in Tartu case, going across the city is still like 4 kilometers or so. It's quite near in Tallinn standards, or like bigger world standards. But in case of Tartu, that was, going a bit further.
Yeah.
And I remember a lot of hot summers, because Tartu is really kind of more continental. So summers get much hotter, and the air is not that windy there. So my parents, they wanted to go to the seaside, and so they really often we went and took a family trip to some seaside place, either Pärnu or somewhere around here in Tallinn. Yeah. So a lot of summers went actually we spent outside the city. Yeah. Only now I realized that it was really kind of fortunate for me that my family was able to do that. It seemed to be like a normal thing, but only now I understand that only few families had options to do those long rides every weekend, spending like gas and actually having cars and stuff. That was always the case for us. Yeah. And what else about Tartu? Tartu was really about knowledge. The city vibe is that this is the city of kind of knowledge and wisdom.
Yeah, and the most famous
universities there. And in case of like this population that it has, Tartu is like, is it now 100,000 or something more? University is 20,000, so it's like, is it like 1/5? We might need to check the facts. I don't know if you do this right now, or we will put them on the screen later. But generally saying, also the fact that universities all around the city, all the university buildings are not in one campus, but they are scattered around. You see people on their university, people going around places all the time, even as a young kid. So you kind of start to see this as a normal thing.
I mean, interacting with students and like.
Also, I mean, the big event like Tartu Student Days are like, I would say, they are taking over the city in total. Even the Tartu mayor is kind of, there's a ceremony that they usually he gives over the power to the university students.
But growing up, I mean, as a kid in Tartu, were you more in contact with the foreign people or foreign cultures? Like, did you see many non-Europeans?
No, not at all. I mean, that was only
Estonians, or but you also saw other European nationalities at least, or you didn't?
Let's speak of, let's say that the first 10 years, I know, born in 1990, so 1990 to 2000, seeing somebody as a foreigner is really exotic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Sure, some Russians are also there in Tartu, but they are, as here in Tallinn, they are in a specific part of the city. In case of Tartu, that was pretty much the same. And they weren't considered as foreigners. But maybe I remember that I had a member of a family was like some type of a person in higher ranks of the state, and then he sometimes had some guests over. So that was like, wow, this person is from the States. So that was like a big surprise or big guest.
Okay,
or something.
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So anybody who were
Yeah.
like a foreigner, it was like a exotic thing, at least in the 90s.
In the 90s, very much, yeah. Maybe it was also the case that I didn't recognize them. I mean, my father maybe had recognized more, but then again, these were maybe the nations that were coming from around Russia. It was still kind of similar for me. So, and in case of our family, we didn't have also any big contacts that would have been outside Estonia.
Okay.
Like so many Estonian families, they have part of the family was escaping from the occupation and then ended up in Sweden, in US, in Australia, those places. And then they kept in contact and so on. They got they were sent gifts and stuff sometimes and those things. But yeah, we didn't have that. So I'm again now hearing from my wife how their family was like getting information from the uncle in Canada.
Yeah.
So, really
I mean, quite a lot of Estonians went to, I don't know, like the Nordics. Quite a lot went to Canada. I know.
yeah, it was
at least
quite
Australia.
common. First
Yeah.
go to Sweden, then from Sweden either stay there or go somewhere else. For in case of my wife's family, that's like Sweden, then Canada, and then after Canada, actually to Australia. So
Yeah, a lot
circles.
of a lot of Australians, a lot of Estonians in Australia and at least Canada. Yeah. So, but I'd like to move on and then ask a little bit about like what was it like coming of age and then transitioning to from childhood to teenage to adulthood, like what were like the challenges or the things that you remember the most from these times? I know it's a very, very big jump in time, but anything that stands out, like you felt that these things were like really like some things that are really memorable to you.
Well, doing sports, well, that was also inside my life all the time. At first it was different sports things, like from tennis to some self-defense classes to some swimming was there. A lot of swimming, actually. I did swimming on a competition level for maybe even 7 years or so.
Okay, that's pretty. So, but just because I feel that is sports really a very common thing among like young boys and teenagers. Is somebody not doing sports a more exotic thing? Like somebody who isn't doing like sports is something that is unusual?
I think not really. Maybe like 50-50, I would say, is the split between like somebody who's practicing something and somebody who's not practicing. But I guess even this 50-50 split is much bigger amount of people practicing some sports than some other countries.
Exactly,
because like big sports events are showing the results. Like within like 1 million people as a population, you are getting pretty good results from like worldwide competitions.
Yeah, because every other person, like 50% means that every other person that you know is either like a part of a team or practicing something, or like at least like national ranking or something like that.
And that's another thing that actually here getting yourself into a competition that is like national, like is Estonian championships type of level, this comes really easy because it could be compared with, let's say, some pretty much small area of US something.
Like a league in
League, yeah.
like a city league in
But
the US.
maybe it is the case that if already you're on that level and you have potential to do, let's say, Olympic Games something, the support that you are getting is perhaps better than some small league in US, because you're not considered as a potential Olympic athlete or something. Who knows? Maybe it's this thing helping as well. But yeah,
absolutely. I think so.
It is during my age. I think it was parents tried to keep their kids away from trouble by just giving them some something to do, sports. Or also I see that a lot of people were practicing some musical instruments, those things. So it's other things as well than sports.
Would you see? Did you notice, or was there any gender split or gender difference between people, between like students doing sports versus not sports? Or is it like you just saw that 50%, like girls were doing?
Let's say on swimming classes, it was like 50.
Okay.
Yeah, 50-50.
Okay.
Of course, cycling is more towards men. It used to be, and I think it still is. Only like less than 10%, let's say, female. But then again, there were other sports that were practiced by female a lot more. Let's say some closeness to Russia means that some figure skating, so such things, they are a lot
dominated
by
females.
Females, yeah. But maybe here is the thing that there were perhaps more female doing some musical instrument training than sports.
More than guys, yeah.
And of course there were many in the school I went to. There were many students who did do both of them. Not students, but like say pupil. So the teenage years, their days were kind of full of fully booked of like, I need to go this class, now I need to go this class. So that was pretty much a random thing here.
One of the things that I've been able to talk to high school kids in Estonia, or generally teens or adults, boys, is just that they've often said that the workload that they have from the school is exhausting. Like it's really a lot, and they have a lot of pressure. Was it the same case when you were growing up, or
I think that the workload has gotten bigger somewhat. But it was also pretty difficult for me. I don't remember having any free time as a kid. Maybe there was also some personal things that I was not a fast learner. I understood stuff at the end, and I understood it really well. But it took a while until I started getting a grasp of something. And so I had to spend more hours actually doing something. And getting started with all the schoolwork, that was another problem. I mean, I was trying to focus, I was sitting on the table, but maybe even an hour or more, I was maybe doing nothing, but pushing myself, like being blocked. So it's a type of a thing that happens as well. And seems that that's something that happens with a lot of Estonians.
Yeah.
So.
but you were able to manage that, or?
There was at least enough image of Tartu perhaps helped even, that you understood that you have to learn. There is no other option.
Yeah.
It was perhaps a bit of a family thing as well, that everybody were having their university education, and it wasn't even option to stay without it. I mean, of course, my parents again didn't say that you have to have a university degree or something, but it was, I don't know,
Like, so, in
I
the
felt
air.
the inner kind of push that I need to get this done.
I think it matters a lot. Like growing up in Pakistan, it's a weird thing to see, but if any of your parents was a teacher, or if both of them were teachers, like they were teaching somewhere, then the children, most often than not, were very, very, like they were considered like very, very high-ranking students. Like they did really well in school. If like I remember that one of the top-ranking kids when I went to the 11th grade, and in the whole of the region of the city, the guy that got the most numbers and got the top position, his father was also a teacher, and he taught in a government school. And then I know a lot of other like people who had a lot of other students who had parents who were teachers, and yeah, it sort of like affected them because and I also think what you said about the atmosphere, that also has a significant effect as well. So yeah, I think the environment has really, really a huge effect on
Atmosphere
it.
also was the thing that my school, back then named Tartu Martrenik Gymnasium, now is Martrenik Kool, is on the Vanemuise street, on the same street that a lot of different university like faculties are. STEM faculty is just next building. So during the school, we also had some tours there. There's a nice museum there. Whoever actually goes to Tartu, there is a cool museum of like nature and like how Earth was formed and those things. So really nice place to visit with kids and by yourself as well, maybe.
Yeah.
To see some like big bones of those mammoth. In English as well, mammoth type of these things.
It's I mean that's a place, and I think there was a museum that was recently opened, right? It's called AHA, like
AHA as well.
AHA museum as well.
That's also really much the spirit of
Tartu.
And
they have like, I haven't been there, but I have heard very, very good things about that. That it has like science experiments and things like that explains concepts. So yeah, I mean, Tartu is like a really, really. I think Tartu has like a different vibe to it than Tallinn. And I not just mean in terms of that it has less people, but overall in terms of its flavor as well. It somehow seems more like electric. Like I remember when every time I went there, it has like a different feeling to it, like a different energy to it, and you feel like that when you're there.
It's also perhaps from the fact that Tallinn for a long time, it was governed by Keskpartei, which is like central party, which was very much connected with like ideas coming from Russian background, and they kind of wanted to keep going on the same direction as all the eastern like part, like let's say Russia is going, while in Tartu another party was on power for most of the time, and they had a totally different view on how things should go. Yeah, of course, there's a lot of controversy about it. Like maybe who knows which one is better. We are not here to tell this thing, but we just see the outcome at the moment as it is now. And regarding the vibe thing as well. In let's say coming back to comparison with US again, in TV there is a show of like science experiments that my kid is sometimes seeing. It's from the States, produced there, and a lot of series, a lot of like shows there are made in locations that are similar to AHA, but just the fact that it has so much more people, so much other stuff going on as well, is maybe taking focus away from these science-related things. So this focus is scattered around in different places, while in Tartu there is so few people that if some bigger group is getting focused on this science and knowledge and these things, then this already
Focus is not divided.
Yeah, it's already like taking away all the people there, and not much are left elsewhere. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd like to move ahead and talk about like the main topics that we have is like the growing up, like we can talk about like collective challenges as well, but growing up in Estonia as a man, and do you think has been the challenges that are not often talked about in terms of specifically men? I know that I have, like, I grew up in Pakistan, of course, so there's a whole another set of challenges that are there, and it's like a completely different culture as well. But I would like to know from you, like, what are the challenges or the struggles that you faced or you saw with your male friends as well? Some things that were common that you saw that this is like happening.
I think back then, again, I didn't really understand it. And I'm not in a position to assess if it's happening because of Estonia or it's elsewhere like this. This is maybe more elsewhere as well, that, let's say, fathers are usually occupied with their work and by themselves as well. They haven't had a good connection with their own fathers because of like Second World War, the situations were really difficult. Then the people just didn't maybe have, I don't know, life was organized in a way that you didn't have time to connect with people. Maybe that was the thing. Or
you were focusing more on surviving.
Yeah, maybe that was the thing. Yeah. So at the end, it comes down to that you might not have a really good connection with your both parents. One of them usually stays at home. Maybe also in case of this Estonia, it was that the wage gap was higher than it used to be, is now. And that meant that maybe the father usually stays at work more and is doing like this. So what else? It did change already a lot by after 10 years only. Because let's say my brother, who is 7 years younger than me, his parents, although they are same people, were different in some sense.
Yeah, I can relate to that very well as well. My brother is like 9 years younger than me. And the relationship that he has with my father and mother is very different. Because, like, I think I'm the eldest kid as well. So one of the things that somebody told me that with the eldest kid, like, the parents are inexperienced, like they don't know what
they are doing. Also first-born parents.
So first-time parents, and they don't know like what I'm supposed to do. By they have the third kid, then you're more experienced, and then you're more relaxed as well, I guess. And I think that makes a huge difference and you also see like different personalities as well of the parents, because of course people change as well, and parents change over the course of the time as well.
Not only like first-time parents, but also, I mean, usually becoming an adult is also transformation, and performing as an adult is also getting better and better after. So it is a big difference if you get a child in the age of like 20, 21, 2 years old, or age of 30 something years old. There will be a great difference on the upbringing of this child.
Very much. I think as a father, you now start to see the other side as well. What it is
so
like.
That's why I'm saying that it's back then it was normal actually for me. I didn't question anything. Now by myself, I'm actually trying to spend more time with kids, and then again, I also know I don't know how it plays out. I don't know if it's actually playing out better or worse.
Yeah.
We don't know.
It's such an interesting thing, because I know that like the society that I grew up in, and it's not the only society. Like being Pakistan is more conservative as compared to, of course, like Estonia as well. And I see a lot of people who are like kids my age who grew up in like suppressive households. Like you can't go out, you have to be back home like this, you can't meet friends, especially for women, because it's way more harder for women in Pakistan than it is for men. And growing up, then when those girls, they are now moms, and I often see that they are, like they don't want to do the same thing that their parents did to them, like to make them more repressive. So sometimes I see that they do totally go to the opposite side. And I think that results in a different set of problems. So I think I really feel that you are dictated by your experiences, of course, but to move in the opposite direction, I feel it's the same thing. It's just resulting in a different set of outcomes. And yeah, it's just something funny that I've seen it in my own life as well. So
it's actually happening now these days in Pakistan that some nowadays fresh moms are giving their daughters more freedom.
They're giving them more freedom as much as the society allows, but I see it more in the mothers that moved abroad. Like they moved abroad, and then they give their sons and daughters more freedom to like you can choose whoever you want to marry, or whoever you want to whatever you want to study, because even that was like a huge thing as well. So but I also feel that, and it's a personal life lesson for me as well, that if you are just moving in the opposite direction, then your previous trauma or the bad thing is still controlling you, because you're just moving in the opposite direction, and you're just running in the opposite direction. And I feel that is exactly the same thing as the one that you are, same thing that you're running from. It's very funny how it plays out in life, and then you find out. Well, I hope people find out when it's not too late, and find out early in life. But I think one of the biggest like criticisms and the biggest observation that I have seen from particularly Estonian women, particularly foreigners as well, is that Estonian men are really bad with expressing themselves, like expressing their emotions or opening up at all. And then a lot of times I've seen that you have to like pull words out of their mouth. And I kind of understand how this has come to be, but I would like to know your thoughts about this observation. Like, what do you think about it?
I think it's coming from the similar situations that were happening before, that it was difficult times during the war, during maybe occupation as well. And yes, I was fortunate to be in a family that had all their basic needs and more met. So I would say maybe I'm in a good position, and I'm not. I think my wife wouldn't say that it's difficult to get my thoughts out of me. At the same time, looking at the statistical numbers, dating back there, I see that a lot of families were struggling then, really heavily struggling. And that meant that these men, young boys then, were growing up in a place where survival was just necessary. And this maybe is not really helping people to open up. Alcohol plays a role as well.
Yeah, I think this is a topic that I would like to talk about it more later as well. But I mean, women or girls were growing up in the same environment as well. So, but I see that in general, women or like Estonian women are much more confident at expressing themselves or, like expressing themselves emotionally. I know part of it is just like gender differences. Women are generally more
if
expressive.
they get stressed, they start talking. If men get stressed, they
close up.
Shell up. So that's it.
So why do you think that is, or why do you think that?
Why do I think the gender difference
No,
coming
like,
from the Netherlands, not Neanderthal times are yeah.
No, but like, like, why did it? Why did the difference become so much that, like, on one side you have generally men. I know we are doing a lot of generalizations, but that is the only way to understand it, right?
I think men just had to suck up a lot more.
Really?
Yeah. Let's say my great grandfather, like built up the whole household, had a nice life. Back then it was kind of a normal that as a man you are like head of the household and so on.
Yeah, and you have the whole responsibility.
Then the Russians came and took it all away.
Yeah.
It was only some years, then he had it kind of built up again already within some years. Then the Germans came from the other side, took it all away again.
So it's like
he built it up again, and then again Russians came. And then like the whole family was deported to Siberia.
Okay.
So how do you suck up this thing?
And
you kind of, you are trying to provide and protect, and your ability to provide and protect is just
taken away.
And at some moment you find yourself not with your daughter, not with your wife, somewhere in Siberia, because they were separated to different places as well. They weren't enabled to stay together.
Yeah, so. It's almost like a story of Estonia with this microcosm of like of.
From the other side, it was more the case that at one moment you need to tell your family that, hey, now we need to just go to the forest. And the so-called great grandfather's family, that was the one who went to the forest for some weeks and so.
I often think that people don't realize the effects that wars have had in Europe, and on the US as well. Like the ripples of that can be felt to this day, even in the younger kids, because like the effects, they don't just disappear. Like you have a whole population of men that just died in the war. You have a whole population of men that were just sent away. And then how does this affect the family structure, and how does it affect the children that are growing up, and how does it affect the mentality of the children growing up? It's just and I know this has been studied a lot and I've heard a lot, but even as a personal observations and hearing you talk, it feels like there is like ripple effects that you can see to this day, how much that has changed.
And when you then like apply those possible effects to the ongoing conflicts now, you see how much effect the conflict has. Like we only hear about, let's say, war casualties. What is behind war casualties is not there.
Yeah, it's like
again, like maybe need to check the facts, but it's like, was it that during Vietnam War, more men have died because of suicide after the war? In Americans, more Americans have died after the war because of suicide than during the war.
Yeah,
and I mean, getting to the level of suicide is a very final like thing, which means that even much greater amount of men are just with a big like post-traumatic stress disorders. The same guys who are not able to open up, who are not maybe drinking too much,
I've
like
seen
getting
that.
on with their life,
Yeah.
but not really giving a good and secure environment for their surrounding people.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's
and I think it especially happens if the people who are like in this war are feeling that it's not justified.
yeah.
That's very much the case with maybe Vietnam. Like suddenly those guys were sent somewhere else where they were like, why am I here? Why am I away from my home at all?
Yeah.
And you can only imagine what's now happening with Russian-Ukrainian thing.
Yeah.
Like, I do feel that the Ukrainians fighting there on their own land are feeling that they are doing it for themselves, while Russians might really fast get a feeling that I don't know if I'm doing it correct or not. So
Yeah.
the amount of people who will be going back to Russia with this broken mind is going to have like decades and decades of effect as well.
Yeah, and I mean, just to see that, I mean, Russia itself had like the, the casualties that Russia has had in wars is the biggest number of casualties by far by any nation, more than any nation, and of course, like the effects of that could still be visible in the Russian
Maybe
society.
the dark joke here is that it has then less effect on society because those broken men are not going back. The medical support that they have is not enabling them to go back. This is like a in military, so it's like it's a joking term is like a sanitary shot. It's like the medical person, instead of sanitizing your wound, just brings and shoots you.
Okay,
As like sanitary shot.
that's a
So,
very, very
so
dark
who
thing.
knows how their like protocols are written and what is actually happening there, but yeah.
But I mean, regardless of that, regardless of whether it's Russia, Ukraine, US, I mean, the thing that I want to get to is that men are predominantly the front line that gets, like demolished or killed,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
they are the ones that see the war, that see things happening because they're on the front line. And regardless of whatever we think of men or what we think of ourselves as well, these things like seeing violence, even though men have like a capacity for violence more than women, it still like changes you. You don't see the change. It's only after a while that you see,
Of
okay,
course, yeah.
this small thing that happened, it totally shaped me for that. And I think that is one thing that even men don't tend to realize, that how much we think that strong we are not like that strong. Like things shape us, things change us internally, and only then when we grow up and we start living our life and I say, oh, I'm doing things differently now. Why is that? Only when you see that you realize that, okay, this thing that happened to me, or this thing that happened long time ago, it's affecting me. So I yeah, that's something. And when you like translate, or when you translate that to like actual war, then it means that you are like transforming your brain structure in a ways that it's going to continue for the rest of your
Yeah, but
life. Like it's a very simple thing, but I mean, fireworks for people would have very different meanings. Like it could be like shelling for one person, and it could be
yeah,
like festivity
exactly.
for one person. So
My brother, I think it was not during the like very recent this invasion, but already earlier had he was in Tartu playing football together with some other like friends and like a group there. There was also like a couple of Ukrainian guys, and my brother was talking that when the some fireworks were like audible nearby the football field, then the Ukrainian boys were like ducking.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
while playing football.
It had a natural response.
Yeah.
Natural response. Yeah. See that's the thing that.
But even I've on myself observed a opposite effect of having like less tolerance on violence by the time at one moment I kind of felt that I can't control the amount of, like, I don't want to deal with controlling the amount of TV that my kids are like watching and so on. So I just removed the TV altogether, and overall as well, haven't been to movies, haven't been to like seeing any violent movies for years now. And I think last time it was maybe Tenet that I was seeing, and that had a lot bigger effect on me, all these fighting scenes and stuff, than years ago when I was a teenager, like
Watching
seeing Hollywood movies every day, like at home, going to movie theaters, like all the fighting scenes, they weren't like making my heart pump at all. And now, it's like totally different. So it's like even people might argue against that violent games are not making you violent. It makes you maybe just more tolerant to violence.
Yeah.
Who knows? At least that would be the effect just on single person like as myself.
I want to like go ahead and then ask about addictions, because that is a huge topic, and that is another like complaint by many women that they put against like Estonian men specifically, related to alcohol and drinking as well. So what do you think about it, that like why is it so? I mean, I know that men I don't exactly know what the drinking figures are or the alcohol consumption figures are within men, but how is it like for you? And like about addictions in general, maybe we can talk about that as well. Like, what do you think about this complaint that okay, Estonian men are just, you know, like they like to drink so much, and it's not, it's an addiction and it's not healthy.
Starting off with a positive, maybe, alcohol is here, and during Soviet times, there were just less other drugs that the world was struggling to deal with then. Also, like other drugs like cocaine and stuff, that was really big problem in the like 70s in US and so on. We didn't have it here. This just didn't reach here.
So
People didn't have money to buy it, maybe.
So you mean to say that the acceptable drug of choice was like alcohol, and that was the only.
That was the only one. About addictions in general.
Do you think men suffer more, like Estonian men suffer more with addictions than women, for example?
What do you mean suffer? I mean, of course, every woman whose man is addicted to alcohol suffers more, and I would say suffers more than the man, because the man's emotions are like eased up by alcohol, but the sober person next to it is not really
But what I meant to ask more was that,
do they drink more than women? Yes, that's for sure. There might be somewhat a culture thing as well, that we are thinking of ourselves as the type of, like, we have the type of genetics that can drink more. So we kind of maybe think that we should do it because of that. That we are aware that there are some, let's say, Asian genetic types who would be like passed out far before us and those things, that might be some.
You mean to say that you naturally have more tolerance towards
Yeah. Because I think it's also some studies have shown that this type of a Caucasian type of genetics is most tolerant. It's like why, I don't know, the Native Americans died out was some reason that the alcohol tolerance on them was really, really bad.
No, I don't know about that. But
but maybe like some other theories that in Estonia you have seen a lot of innovative things also happening, and those things coming out from such a small population, maybe there is something in genetics that kind of makes us wonder and makes us kind of test the limits a bit more. And the same good effect is also applying to maybe alcohol and other things. So modesty, I would say that the modesty on doing something is not part of Estonian culture at all. If you do sports, you do it hard.
So you push the limits of everything.
You push the envelope all the time.
To the extreme.
Maybe that is the thing then. Who knows? It's like, I'm wondering by myself as well now.
It's a very interesting take. But speaking about alcohol and then like relating it to the thing that we talked about, like emotions as well. It's like I have always seen, and I often do the joke as well, that that a drunk Estonian is my favorite person because they're like normal people. Because when you are opened up, you are talking freely, and then you're like freely talking to yourself. And what I have seen in my personal experience is that the difference is so huge. Like in many cases, the difference is quite huge. Or maybe we were just students back then and we just saw the other side. But why do you think that is? And is this a reason why people, or like the guys drink so much so that they can like have like show their like true self or be more emotional?
Yeah. For many, of course, this is the reason. They maybe haven't learned how to do it without, how to kind of remove the shell without alcohol. But then there is some group of men who kind of does the opposite, is trying to do the opposite. And I see that this is quite strong. I mean, they are doing it quite well. So,
but you mean to say that they are totally cutting off alcohol?
Totally, or some who are coming from, let's say, heavier addictions, even if they are able to cut off their heavier addiction, this is already a big win.
Definitely.
So that's already something good.
Do you see this happening more recently or gaining more traction in the more recent years?
It's perhaps gaining traction as much as the addictions are getting traction. Because of all the other drugs are like more accessible here. I think there are studies in Estonia where they just analyze the wastewater, and this is, I would say, pretty ingenious way to do this, to kind of get the idea of that, okay, in Rakvere, suddenly they are using this drug more and more now. So there's a feedback loop that, okay, there must be somebody who supplies this drug there, who is somebody like, where's this kind of thing happening? So those things. By myself, I don't remember now. Maybe I should have recalled it before, but I think it's getting near 2 years now when I have like cut alcohol totally. In my thought, it was more like an engineering task for me, that if it's easy to take away, then it's not a problem. And if it's hard for me to give up alcohol, then it is a problem. Then I should definitely give it up. So type of a task that I kind of formed in my head. I was like, let's give it a shot.
But what was the difference that you felt like? Because of course, when people drink alcohol, as I understand, it's more like a social thing as well. You're more sort of in your social situation, you're sort of opening yourself up as well. So how was it like when you thought of this experiment and then you said, okay, I'm not gonna drink anymore? How did it affect your life, especially in the
social settings and stuff?
In the beginning, at least.
In the beginning, I mean, then being a family person for, let's say, other things as well in the life have happened. I haven't had too much of a social circle since for 10 years now.
Yeah.
So I haven't had the type of like friends who are like, hey, let's go and drink and those things at all. But also explaining it to my family is already something. And they, of course, they are saying that, yeah, you can do what you want. It's like, they are not going to say that, what's wrong with you, or you should do something like, I don't know, like different and so on. And my experiment actually also fell in the time when nowadays there are so many non-alcoholic drinks on the shops. Only 5 years ago, 6 years ago, there was like a couple of brands of non-alcoholic beers and only like real kids drinks that had a lot of sugar inside, or like proper drinks. But now there's like big variety of non-alcohol consumables.
I can even say it from my experience that I have seen in the last 10 years is that it has been such a dramatic change in the public perception, because when I first came to Estonia and I said I don't drink, I got a lot of questions. The people thought, is it religious? Is it cultural? I mean, why are you not drinking? But even now, I see Estonian youngsters, like people, like kids that should be partying, and young adults, and they don't drink. It's such a normal thing now that it's very surprising to see then how much it has changed in the last 10 years. And coming to another thing that you mentioned about the variety of drinks, there's like a huge variety of all the different kinds of Estonian like craft lemonades, or for example non-alcoholic drinks that are really doing quite well, and people are drinking them more and more, and people are trying to see that. I mean, you don't.
This is maybe something that is. There's a bad thing around that. The older people who are more from the generation of drinking alcohol, they're quite often saying that, hey, but maybe they are doing some other drugs or stuff. Okay. Like that, yeah, they are not doing this, but they are doing that. Would they be doing other drugs if they would also do alcohol? I think yes. So those things are vaguely connected, but not maybe directly connected. And yes, in university, we also had a school subject, like one topic when my group, we went to different schools for some research things. And all of us were surprised how different schools were. So back then, the 15-year-olds, 13-year-olds, now they are like 23, 25-year-olds. They were already different on their mindset about education, about school at all. So I actually believe that those people now, they don't have such a need for alcohol, and all these shops selling non-alcoholic drinks. I don't know how well the selling is going, but by myself, I've found that do you actually need to consume something all the time? Yeah. Back when I was maybe drinking alcohol, then like having 4, 5, 6 beers or so, that was like a normal thing. But do I really need to take like 4 to 6 non-alcoholic drinks with me? That's like so many liters of liquid. Do I need it at all? Maybe I just take 1 or 2, or like even if that. So going out has gone much easier, let's say. But I've maybe also heard that some nightclubs are saying that their profits are down because they used to make money out of alcohol, and if you don't get the first shot in the person, then the second shot is also not coming.
Yes,
so
yes,
they don't get the ball rolling.
It's like a circular loop.
Yeah,
like a feedback loop.
yeah.
Like you drink once,
you want
drink
to get more and so
more,
on.
and then you drink, and the more you drink, the more you want. So yeah, I mean that is how the
maybe here also the healthy habits that have grown in Estonia a lot are also helping. Men are seeing how it affects their performance on whatever sport they're doing, and I think because of maybe the climate as well, the one of the quite practiced sports is just going to a gym. Gyms are, I think you have also said, are quite well equipped here.
Yeah.
I've been to Spain, like seeing how gyms are equipped there. Like yes, Estonian gyms are super well equipped, and people who practice there are doing like quite professional work. So, and they are not getting to Estonian like country level competitions. They are not going there. They are still just practicing and so on. And there, maybe having or not having alcohol, those things that really kind of makes a difference. For some not maybe. But generally, I think young people are more interested in sports and going outside. And it just seems that to me that this generation, when they were just stuck on their computers playing video games and stuff, that's kind of gone. It's not popular anymore. Or maybe it's popular, but still it's like a smaller group there. There is another bigger group kind of formulating that is finding that other things are more cool.
I think one of the best things that maybe TikTok did was, like when it first came, people were just doing dancing videos. And if something makes you get up and move and dance,
even that,
every kid was doing that, and then kids were like doing that as well. So anything that makes you do that,
they quite often had to go outside to do this because they didn't have space inside their homes, so they were going outside home at least.
I want to move ahead and then talk about another topic, and that is like specifically related to mental health, and especially with mental health related to men. I know I had my own journey with it, and you have had your own journey with it. But do you feel that mental health for men has majority been something that has not been talked about, and only recently that we see that it is happening? And I know that, like, for example, in like growing up, it was considered like a taboo subject for men to talk about the mental health or like emotions or something like that. So what do you like generally think about it? Or
well, I think yes, growing up and the background of this Soviet time, mental health was generally considered like you are either in a good health or you're just downright crazy. There is no in between. So if you had some mental health issues, then people were assuming that you are like not able to function at all.
Okay.
You should be isolated to a specific hospital and taken away from society.
So it was like almost like physical health. Like if you can't move or can't do anything, then you were just.
And I think the Soviet Union also, like, they didn't have that much like people going around in wheelchairs and stuff, because also I guess those people, they were isolated to some areas away. One place is actually nearby Tallinn is Ravila, where the whole village was pretty much serving one caretaking type of a hospital place.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and this village was my grandparents' village as well. Okay. And when I, as a child, went there, I saw all these people with disabilities all the time, but they were nowhere else. Yeah. So the fact that we don't have such good wheelchair accessible places and so on, that maybe has something to do with how things were before.
Before, yeah.
And about mental health, yeah, of course, the attitude on men has been that you just kind of suck it up,
Yeah.
as your father and grandfather and great grandfather
They've
have
all
been
done it, yeah.
all the time. And of course, going to pub has been a thing since farming times, like hundreds of years already. You've seen maybe the movies of Tõde ja õigus and those things, like all the things that were just discussed over a bottle of vodka, those things. So, yeah, there is difficult to find a balance there, I would say, between like understanding if you are just a crybaby and understanding if you have something to actually deal with. And those mental health issues, they are like really like gradual as well. They are not like either you have or not. You have
It's not like a flu or a sneeze that you get one day and then you get
it's like I would maybe consider it as if a performance athlete wants to perform well and the knees hurt, but they hurt only when, let's say, the footballer is playing a ball. But they can walk, they can maybe even run, but just doing the twisty moves and playing the ball, this is not done. So can this person be considered healthy or not? By some standards, totally healthy.
Yeah.
Totally able to like just work, contribute to the society and so on. But
on
some certain standards, they would like to do something that they're not able to do.
Yeah.
So should this thing be like figured out or not? And I think it's good that now people just more and more understand that it's kind of fine to get more out of yourself. And if it involves, I don't know, like fixing some of the unresolved traumas from past or something like this, then yeah, they will try to do that. Those things are sadly really difficult to deal with, of course. We have so little information about those things, how to actually deal with those things. So
I mean, it is also something that I feel, even from my side, is that like it's something that hasn't been taught, at least to me. Like, how do you manage your emotions? How do you deal with difficult situations? How do you deal with the fact that when you are not able to connect, or you are isolated, or you're in a different place? Like, how do you deal with these loneliness and all that? And for me, like growing up in Pakistan is generally a conservative society, that religion was formed as the answer to everything. And sometimes that was not the answer, because you still had all those issues with the very extremely religious people as well. So just looking at that thing, or this idea of mental health, I mean, I sometimes think of it as like mental fitness. Like you need to think of it like
that's a really good term.
So you need to think of it like as something that you do every day, so that when the hard times come, then you're able to withstand that. Like if you go to a gym, or if you go to like or yoga class, or you're doing stretching, it's not doing something for you every day, but maybe one day you just have to do something extraordinary, or you have to lift something, or you have to suddenly move. If you weren't doing yoga, or if you weren't doing stretching, you would have like a cramp in your back and you won't be able to move.
This, or you would just snap your back.
You snap your back, exactly. But if you're doing that, then it's only for like these like places that you do all these positive increments. I think the same goes for like mental health as well. Like you have to be resilient, be more mindful. And personally, as somebody who is like very much in their head and overthinking, I have to understand that, and I have to be, like extra careful that I am more mindful of my surroundings that are not always in my head, and I have to practice extra than maybe more other people, meditate extra than other people, that I have to like deal with these things. So, and it's something like to coming to the point again, was that something that I had to learn on my own through like trial and error, because it's so intensely personal. Like our histories are so like different, and the way that we resolve them comes out differently as well. So I think I
Do you
often,
think you have like figured out now?
I think I have like figured out the the nitty-gritty of it. Like look, I figured out the map of like my psychology of things. If you do this, then this happens. If I'm in a state like this, then this happens. Like if I'm in a very overthinking state, if I'm in my head, then these are the things that occur. Like and also helps me dealing with other people as well. Like um, uh, recognizing emotions in me. Like when I'm feeling fear, I should never make any decision. When I'm feeling guilt, never make any decision or never do any action, because that is the precedent for doing very, very wrong things. So I mean, it's recognizing these things, these tricks for yourself, these like like software buttons in a
That's
way
good. That's good.
that you have to understand that, okay, this is what works for me. And the same goes for like many other things as well. Like for example, a very simple thing that you find out that, okay, between 11 a.m. to 12 noon, I am like hyper productive.
Okay.
And like
Yeah, yeah,
just an
something like this. Yes, yeah, I see.
example.
Okay.
And instead of like bullying myself that, okay, I wake up at like 7 a.m. in the morning and I hustle and I do all
Yeah,
that, why not put your all energy into this time, and then just work according to your nature? So it is things like these that, as like recognizing, and I mean, a lot of it just comes down to acceptance. Like accepting who you are, you're okay, working with the nature that you have, and then like moving along with it, not fighting it, not saying that, okay, things should not be as they are, but moving just with it. So I that has been like the very big thing that I've gone through in the time that I've been in Estonia. And I think that to give credit to Estonia, it's the place where if you weren't here, then I think I wouldn't have been able to understand so much about myself. Part of it exactly was the reason why I stayed here as well, because I learned that, oh my God, that the things that are the self-development things is like so much here that I wouldn't be able to find. Like for example, if you are in a very like I would say like a country like US, for example, where
Yeah.
there is a lot of focus on your career, on the consumer or consumerism and the things that you own, then it would have all been like directed towards that direction, not much inward. But I think that specifically in Estonia, it gave me a chance to like block everything else, because nothing else is there, and then like look clearly understand that who you are, and then all your past history and traumas and all these things come out as well. I mean, I did a lot of work on that. I did a lot of research on that, and even like did a lot of experiments on myself, and uh, like what does our mind work, like how does my mind work. And that has been like an experience that would like benefit me for the rest of my life, because now I understand more of who I am. Not just I understand more of who I am, but I understand how other people are like, because the more you understand yourself, the more you understand other people. It's a very, very natural thing to do. So
True.
yeah.
My kind of adding information to this thing is that I have had situations or times of my life when I felt that yes, I have it figured out now, and then something comes in and it like kind of dismantles the whole system, or my own kind of subconscious mind or whatever is then trying to trick me and get me to the same past, I don't know, experience the same past, like let's say laziness type of a thing. Yeah. So you have found a way to make yourself productive, but then something in you still wants to make you lazy again.
Yeah.
And the fact that, let's say, at one moment working in some type of an ambient sound environment like a cafeteria, it worked really well for like 4 hours. You go back there next day, it kind of works. You go back there third time, not working anymore. Then in university, like the cubicles, the rows, some small cubicle that you were able to like focus on work. One day you go there, it works really well. Second day, doesn't work anymore. So it's like really like
Yeah, it's funny.
difficult.
Yeah, and
Also I've felt that I've been so many times felt that, okay, the past myself was not aware of something that I maybe don't want to say to my present self that I'm aware of everything.
Yeah,
That
never be so sure of
yeah,
yourself. Yeah.
yeah. It's there's like maybe that is a part of being an adult, that you understand that you are never going to be grown up. Your kids maybe see you as somebody who knows everything, but it's maybe that's one thing that parents, it's better for parents to give their children also understanding that sometimes we also don't know something.
Yeah.
And sometimes we are also wrong, and don't expect yourself to be correct all the time when you are an adult.
Yeah. Yeah.
Otherwise they will be feeling like a failure.
Yeah.
If they are like on their 20 something years old, how don't I know these things? My mother used to know. Yeah, your mother also didn't know. She just played like she would know.
Yeah. Yeah. It's I think I have had similar experiences in my life as well, when I thought, oh my God, I figured it out. I figured out the answer. And some of the answers were like they have stayed the test of time. But you can never be sure that, okay, this is how this is who I am now. Or this is, oh, I have figured itself out, because you're also constantly evolving. And I think that we talked about, like, environment is so like strong. Like, you put yourself in an environment, in a different environment, and you start to like absorb those things even unconsciously. Like put yourself in an environment like, for example, you talked about Tartu. Like, if you put yourself in the Silicon Valley and you're not doing anything, maybe you're just doing food delivery, or maybe you're just doing a cab, you will start to be with people who are entrepreneurs, who are doing things like that.
Yeah.
And then automatically your mind will start to turn in that way. You will start to think about these ideas. And that is, I think, one of the big reasons why people decide to move to these places. Like, for example, if you're an actor or you want to be an actor, oh my God, I'm going to move to London, or I'm going to move to New York, because that is, and of course it doesn't always work out, but I really feel that there is something to the air. There's something to the air that you breathe, that it affects you. I want
something in the air, or something like, yeah, I would just maybe throw in a type of a joke that I had, like, what if at the moment we think that we have all the like forces in the world figured out and we know everything about the world, but maybe if mankind survives another 200 years, we are just as stupid as like men in 18th, 17th century were. What did they know? How much they didn't know?
Yeah.
And then there might be some type of a so-called like Copernicus moment.
Yeah.
Like when the Copernicus found that like Earth is not the center of the solar system. And nobody wanted to believe this because that's like totally making us smaller than we wanted to be.
Yeah. So
there might be such big
so maybe like
discoveries ahead of us.
Like there might
Yeah.
be such pivotal moments that would make us feel really, really like small. Like
Either small or then again vice versa, big.
yeah.
But like
we find something.
some people are always talking about like how your mind is affecting, how your mindset is affecting things. It might be voodoo, like, but it might
Maybe there's
actually
something
have
more to it.
something
It
inside
might be
there, because
actually-
I mean the effects that were not, let's say, scientifically explained, but still mankind was using them.
Yeah.
Let's say, I don't know, like heating up the meat. People didn't know how it changes the protein structure or something, how it makes it easier to digest.
They just knew that it works.
They just did it because it worked.
Yeah.
And only later we found out why.
Yeah.
So the people who are practicing some type of like religious things, let's say, there might be something in there.
Something to it.
So it's like when I grew up, I even before really forming correct sentences, I just said that I want to be like technical. I want to be, ma tahan saada tehnikaks. I want to become technology. That was this thing I was saying. And for a long time in my life, I was like disregarding all these forces that were not like totally accurately explained. And it's like, but then if you start to think about the longer like history and putting yourself into, okay, what if I would be in the year like 1750? I would be thinking to myself that I know everything about the world, and how much I would be still not knowing.
Not knowing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and applying the same idea. I was like, oh shit, maybe I shouldn't be so arrogant and thinking that I am the conqueror of the world.
Yeah. I think one of the distinctions that I make here is that the knowledge of the world or the knowledge of the nature versus knowledge of like who you are, and knowledge of the self, knowledge of your body. And I don't mean body as in like your functions, like understanding your mind and understanding who you are. And I think that ancient cultures had more understanding of that than we have now. We have more understanding of how our bodily functions work. We have more understanding of our diseases. We all know like very scientifically aspects of our life for the nature and all that as well. But I think the knowledge of who we are and how we function and what our nature is, what our manual is, and all that, I think that has very much lessened, because I know that in if you go to like ancient cultures, like for example in South America, or like more specifically in India and like the South Asia, they had a very, very thorough understanding of like what we humans are, like what your nature is, how should you stand, how should you walk, not just because like some religious person said that, but because it's like according to your nature. I mean, it's a very simple thing, but every meditation practice says that you should have a like erect spine. Like no matter what are you doing, nobody says that you should be like slouching. And it's a very simple thing, because it affects your breathing. It's a very simple thing. It affects your breathing on you have a very clear pathway of breathing, and that automatically affects you. So it's like understanding like the manual of who you are, not just from the outside, like from the outside examining yourself, but examining yourself from the inside. And I feel that this is something that has that knowledge has gone down, and a lot of that knowledge actually was, I think it it came from people who understood, and then it was like codified that this is how you should do it in the form of religion or scriptures. Okay, this is how you should do it, and then it got passed down as well, and people thought, okay, it's just religion or it's just old fundamental things, but there was a lot of wisdom to it.
But there, I guess, also went in the thing that the person who then tried to pass it forward was viewed as a super knowledge person or something, and a personal kind of that maybe some things that were taught that it must be like this. People back then were afraid to question those things.
Yeah.
So they were.
It's like the same thing. Like maybe the person who said to have.
Maybe, I would need to take this. Maybe she needs something.
Just a pause. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So sorry about that. We had a little call for Taavi, but now we're back and continuing our previous discussion. So I think we were talking about the topic of mental health for men.
Yeah.
And I know that talking with you, there are, at least these days, I've seen that there are quite a lot of support groups for men. And even though I haven't had any direct contact with them as well, you have been in this circle and you have had experiences with them as well. So what are they like, and how have they helped you connect with yourself and with other men?
Yeah. One thing about mental health in general is that some things that, like, there might be something like, okay, this has to have a scientific explanation, and if it doesn't have it, then I'm not gonna do this, or it's not gonna help me. But with mental health, we know so little that if in some situation you have found something that works for you, then I think it's pretty good option to just take advantage of this finding and help yourself out.
No matter how illogical it might seem or unscientific it might seem.
Exactly. It doesn't need to be logical or scientific or so on.
Yeah.
Sure, there might be some caveats that it's like causing a bigger trauma somewhere down the line or something, but I don't know if it's like, you should maybe understand it and recognize those situations, of course. So in my case, I have been, for me actually, going to psychological counseling or visiting a mental health doctor has not been a taboo at all. Long time ago, there was some teacher who said something about like legal issues. I mean, in a classroom, there's like a legal person was explaining some of his work and was comparing it like, if people have a dental problem, then they go to the dentist. They don't start to kind of treat themselves. But for some reason, if they have a legal problem, the first thing they do, they try to treat it by themselves. They don't go to a specialist. And I have applied this to mental health things as well. That sometimes if you are kind of like broken and you by yourself have gotten yourself into this situation with your own knowledge, then maybe your knowledge is not sufficient for getting it out of you.
Exactly.
Getting you out of there. So for me, going to these places is quite normal with like any end of the school, like doing end of 12th grade, end of bachelor level, all the things were like this. But throughout all these visits, and even, yeah, a lot of visits actually after one period of work as well. But throughout all these visits, those professional assistant things, none of them gave me advice that was given by so-called self-established person. And that was quite simple actually. He just listened to me for around 3 hours actually.
You were talking about somebody who's not a doctor.
Yeah,
more like
not like a
coach.
Yeah, but he was, let's say, a coach. Yes, he's doing like coaching and those things, but not medically certified something at all. And he was listening to me, and he was saying that, yeah, it's like you have lost the spark in your eye, and you need to find something that brings it back. And then we were talking about cycling, and yes, I'm doing it somewhat, but it's like inside the city, commuting to work. And then I talked about what I was doing as a child. Like I wanted to do like difficult mountain biking tracks, those things. And yeah, his advice was that, yeah, you just need to buy yourself like the best bike you can get your hands on, and even if you need to make some sacrifice for it in terms of like financial gains or something, yeah, just do it because that's what you need. At first, I didn't really pay attention to his thing, but randomly, shortly after that, I happened to sell one unnecessary car that had been sitting there for 1.5 years already anyway, so it was unnecessary before as well. And I happened to stumble across a bike that was just checking all the boxes for me. So, and now, second summer after owning this bike, I understand how much it has transformed my life. I have something that gives me such good relaxation, takes my mind off some struggles. It's the science behind it quite easily might be that, or like brains since Stone Age have been trained in a way that if there is a stressor, then the stressor is probably something similar to a lion, from where you need a bit of exercise to escape the stressor. And so when our culture is now teaching us not to run in stressful environments, then we sink in all the stress. And then I think that this cycling is something that allows me to do all the exercise once a week or once so, yeah, and I can get all the stress out.
I think, more importantly, it's something that is purely for you. Like you do it for yourself. It doesn't like it's not like something that you do for somebody else. It's purely for yourself, by yourself, for your own pleasure. So it's like your activity that is just for yourself. And I really understand that, because quite often, like when we are like entering family life, or even when we're not entering family life, when we are in our own parents, and you suddenly get a lot of responsibilities, then somewhere in the middle you tend to forget about yourself. Like you don't have this, like this little space where I do the thing I like, or the hobby.
Yeah.
And somehow it gets forgotten. And then we, even though we don't realize it, we start to get more, like resentful and disconnected with ourselves. So I think it's very important that we have
not with ourselves only, but also with all the people who are giving us those tasks. You might do the tasks by thinking about them in a good way, that yes, I want to do these things because I just want to do that. Like I want to change the diapers. or I need to change the diapers type of a mindset thing.
Yeah.
And if you go down this mindset of I need to do that, I need to do this, I don't have time to myself, then you start to really feel maybe even resentful against your closest family members.
That they somehow like stole my individuality and they're responsible for it. But that's I think that's true so much for the culture where I come in from, because there the culture of individuality is not there. Like you're always like this collective person, and one person has to live for all the others. Like parents, their whole job is to provide for their children, and the children, their whole job is to do better until they can support their parents. And then it's like it becomes like a really toxic loop that parents are not living their lives, and they tell, okay, we didn't do this because of you, and then the children try to live their lives, and then what parents impose on them, they say, okay, we did it because of you as well. And it's like nobody takes responsibility for their own their own happiness, and everybody's like, okay, you make me happy or you make me happy, and it's just keeps going on. So it's a very, I think, the very important realization to have is that your happiness is your responsibility. It's not your family's, it's not your jobs, it's not anything else that you want. Your happiness or your fulfillment or your contentment is your own responsibility. You have to take care of it. If you're not happy, then you have to figure it out. You have to make sure that you are the one who is in control.
And well, about this one psychological counseling that was also useful, like the ideas that I got from there, I'm using so far still. It was about understanding the core family. Like if you have a family, then you need to understand what is the core family for you. It is your wife, it is your children, your home. So if in, let's say, your culture as well, as a man, you feel that you need to support your parents, but on this, according to this theory, you should at first support your own core family, meaning your wife and your children, and only after that think about your parents and your wider family. That type of idea, I think, would be really helpful, because if you want to kind of support everybody, at the end nobody gets nothing. But if you fill up one glass at first, you might actually have something like you get more energy from your own family. Your wife is not so-called nagging on you, giving you energy back, and then she's giving you energy back, and then you are able to actually support your own parents. Maybe
like like you can't. One of the really like this idea about starting from what is nearest you and then going outwards. This is something that I realized in the very, very early years of me living here, because like there's so much, and this is a very cool idea, because it can translate to all the other things as well. Like, for example, I should be more concerned about people who are my neighbors rather than people who are in the other city. So I should be more concerned, or I should have more knowledge or care for people who are in my immediate neighborhood, or who are like directly related to me. For example, people are in my family, and I think one of the things that this global world has done is that everything important anywhere is shown as important, right? We have to, or like the way I have managed it is that because there's so many things happening in the world, and even if I'm like a content creator, I can't talk about everything else. So what I can do is that some things that affects me directly, and I can then expand outwards from that. And it is this idea that I've seen that works, and I think it's a very old, ancient idea as well, even in the Bible, I mean, Jesus says to love thy neighbor, and it's such a very small thing to see. And even in Islam, there is a very heavy stress on you not treating your neighbors well, and I feel that it's a very core idea that if you can't treat anybody else better than treat your neighbor, and that would like translate into if it's practiced as a society, then it can transform the whole society because everybody is everybody else's neighbor. So this is a really like interesting idea that I had, that when you start always with your where you currently are, and then progress outside from that, then your next way will show. And I even like in terms of profession, I found it to be very helpful. For example, the way like if you're working at your current job, then the way forward, or the way you can move on to your next job, is not ignoring your current job and then thinking about the next job, but it's like pushing 100% in your current job, and then pushing ahead, and then the next way will show itself, whether it is in the same company or whether it is somewhere else. So that is, yeah. So you pay attention to, you focus on what is in your immediate vicinity, like it's your house, with neighbors, whatever, people relation. Focus on what is immediate. Don't think about like all the other things. And as somebody, as I said, that somebody who suffers from really like overthinking, it's a very important idea that I had. But yeah.
And coming back to these, like, let's say, men support groups, or how to say, yeah, I can share my personal experience that for me, these have worked really well. So anybody who is in Estonia, then usually these are called meeste ring or meeste grupid, something like this. My own, like, let me see. In these groups, you don't need to be thinking that I have been unemployed for like so many months or now, and how can I go to in front of some other men and I'm ashamed to do this or
Compare
do that,
myself to
compare
them, yeah.
myself, yeah. Because in these groups, very interesting thing is common. They don't really introduce themselves as such a professional values or what am I doing, how much am I earning, or those things at all. You might be together with group of men for 3 days and learn a lot about what they think and how they think without getting any understanding on what are their professional career life. And this helps you to kind of suppress all the former beliefs about assumptions about like these people are like this, these people are like that. You get to know the people at first, and then at the end you maybe find out that he is this or he is that. And after just a 1 weekend, you might come out of the so-called men's camp with a totally open mind that wow, the world is not as I thought it to be. It's not as I assumed it to be. It is so much different. Yeah, and I have seen many men actually get a lot of help from these things. So because, yeah, of course, difficult things happen in life. We cannot really avoid that. If you avoid that, you just postpone those things happening. At the end, they will still happen.
They will still happen, exactly. They keep building up. And if you don't deal with them right away, then you'll face them sooner or later.
And on these groups, there is, it's quite common that it's not really, if other men groups are sometimes like letting their feelings go with alcohol, then these men groups are usually without any substance use at all. There is like there is somebody who is kind of keeping track on how things are going there. And usually these so-called teachers or masters, they are quite professional on it. So they can keep the group dynamic in a way that you don't need alcohol to express
So they're
yourself.
like breaking the ice.
They
and
are,
pushing
yeah,
it, pushing it
breaking
ahead.
the ice somehow. Yeah, I don't know how. Of course, maybe my view is that it's easy because for myself, it's easy to open up. Maybe if I really well recall, I know maybe some person or the other person who has not really been opening themselves up and let's say first day or so. But at the end, it's still, they get still something out of it, of course. And at least one person I know that on one place he was kind of shelled, kind of not really talking about himself, but at the end something clicked. Next time I saw this person months later, and he had totally transformed.
Really?
Yes, from the person who had been like in a shell, really afraid to speak about anything in front of small group of men, was standing up and asking question from a presenter in front of like an audience of 200 people, as a first person to ask a question. I was like, when I heard that somebody speaking, I was like, what he's speaking? Wow. I was like, 2 months only had passed. So something that might click in this one weekend camp might start building up in you in a different direction and kind of get yourself a really different direction.
I think one of the things that make these work is that because you know that always if you want to change a habit or if you want to develop a habit, the answer is always just consistency over a long period of time. But what I think these groups or what these experiences teach you is that they show you a glimpse of what you can be, right?
Perhaps.
So like if I went to like for a weekend and I'm a really shy person, and then somewhere in the middle, because of encouragement or all that, I do something that I'm so much afraid of always. And people encourage me and I do it. And then I realize that, oh my God, it was not so difficult. And I did it. That core memory sort of becomes like a benchmark. Okay, I can do that. I can be so fearless. And then when you go back, even though there are like the environment is coming and everything is coming, you still remember that, oh, I could do that. And it's just a matter of building habits and reaching to that goal. But yeah, I mean, it's it's not a answer that like it can transform your life, but I think there has to be a lot of like willingness and push like to actually do that.
Yeah. Let's say regarding addictions, it might be that you feel that it's really, really difficult to get rid of some addiction or something. But I also know a person who pretty much out of thin air said to himself, being like really addicted to more than alcohol, and at this moment being like after 3 days of heavy partying and full of different drugs, he said to himself, who am I fucking? And that was his transformation. It's like one moment like, what the fuck am I doing here? And like this, he quit everything, and it wasn't that difficult. So maybe we think that those things are really difficult. At the same time, maybe they're not that difficult if you just kind of yeah. Of course, then again, after even making this decision, you still need some toolkit to sustain this new path and those men's group. But I think also in this situation, some normal like how to like get rid of some addiction. You need to have some substitution instead of that is kind of guiding you away from it, and you need to be aware of some time frames that for first like 3 weeks or so you are maybe thinking about it daily. After that you still have it in your mind, and after that my personal experience, let's say after thinking to myself that okay, I will not consume alcohol anymore, before that it was quite common that if you go grocery shopping you buy some alcohol as well. Yeah, and then after I made the decision, I noted myself that hey, I'm still noticing these shelves of alcohol, but I'm making a conscious decision not to go there.
Not to go there, exactly.
And this happened over like 3 weeks, and after that I started not noticing them. So this thing went out of my world. For somebody maybe who finds it hard to relate, is that if I make a comparison now that okay, that we all know that there is some, like, let's say, cocaine on the streets, but you don't notice it. You don't notice that there are maybe some dealers on the streets, and you don't notice these things.
Exactly.
So why don't you notice it? Because it's not in your world. At the same time, there are people who are struggling with it, in whose world.
Notice it all the time.
Yeah,
here,
who notice it all the time, who all the time notice those things that I would like to this thing or this thing happening right now. And so if you think that your struggle is something small and or it's so present in your life that it cannot be taken away, then think about something, some type of addiction that would be much worse. And how would you treat this thing? So if you want to get rid of smoking, I don't know, think about it as, I don't know, doing something really crazy. I don't know, like, I don't know, crystal meth or something. How much you would like to get rid of it. Yeah. So, and maybe this helps. Yeah.
I think that one thing that you mentioned before about that person, the example, that he reached like a peak of an experience, like partying for 3 days and then filled with drugs, and then he realized
and not feeling anything.
Not feeling anything
at the same moment.
I think like this is another thing that I've also realized with myself as well, that the change always happens at the peak of something, right? When you had that experience, when you're full of that experience, and that it somehow like breaks your mind or breaks your preconception that okay, this is the peak and I can't do it anymore. And I think that has been like a very interesting realization for me as well, because whenever you hit the peak of like an experience, or like when you push something to the extreme, you sort of get like liberated from that. You sort of like move on from that. And one of the like I really firmly believe that if you are a smoker, for example, and you smoke a cigarette and you don't do anything else, and with 100% of your conscious mind you focus on the act of smoking, how is it, how does my body feel, whatever I do, then I think you will get liberated from smoking. That you will not be able, that you can't that you will move past that. It's a very interesting idea that actually the Indian culture had. It's and there is this word called mukti, mukt ho jana. That this means that you sort of that like move ahead from something. You sort of get liberated from something, and yeah, it's something that I've thought about it quite a lot. I mean, again,
it might work, but it's like we must also admit to ourselves that both of us, not being addicted to smoking, we are not in a position to talk about how to quit smoking.
Yeah.
I would like, I'm always saying to my backing my words with some how to say, I don't know, like caution that, hey, this is my opinion, and it might not work for you because I have not been through it by myself.
Yeah.
And even if I have been through it, it might be still different for you.
Yeah,
of course, those places you can, like, coming back to the men's group, there you meet people who share their own experiences, and those things tend to be somewhat like similar and helpful for each other. And usually the so-called teachers in these groups are guys who have been through like hell and back.
Yeah.
That's usually how they have gotten there.
Yeah.
So
I think like maybe smoking would not be like a very personal example because I haven't done smoking, but like another very relevant example for me is that at least is like it's not specifically addiction, but like listening to something. Like for me, if I like a song, then I listen to it so much that eventually that you get sick of it, and then you never want to listen to it again. And it sort of like feels like the same thing for me, because we're always like in a way. I mean, I feel that what addictions are really like, they're to, in a way, they're dulling our senses to notice things, right?
Of course.
Whatever you do, even something as like, I know that I watch a lot of TV or television, it's sort of like dulling your senses. But if you are able to notice that, if you are able to understand that, okay, this is what's happening to me, this is what's happening to my body, and then sort of you experience that, then you are like then it's not then you're sort of in a way you're can liberate yourself from that as well.
But maybe here we could come back to somewhat like a let's call this a engineering approach, that if as a, let's say, mechanical engineer, you see some type of a structure and you think how it would break if it's overloaded, then you can imagine in your head where is the weak point in most cases.
Yeah.
If I take this clothing rack or something and I feel that, okay, if I would sit on this edge, where it would break, where is the stress point and so on. But if you have this type of mindset there, if you would apply now this mindset to some of your addiction, so because in my case, I didn't need to buy so much alcohol and be totally wasted or be continuously wasted or something. For me, it was just a casual one beer each evening type of a thing. But when I just thought to myself, I think there was some background idea that, okay, if I would continue doing this years and years and years, what is the cumulative health effect, something like this? Or, if I allow myself this gate of alcohol to be open, so-called, and something really, really bad happens in my life and I go down into really bad drinking. So I've seen, like, let's say, people who have been in these situations and how much it has affected their life. So these are maybe more like you observe the world and try to take hints from here and there and apply them to yourself.
It's almost like you experience that in your mind.
Yeah.
Like you imagine
kind of,
that you did this thought exercise and you.
Yeah, I have also been doing some, like, during school time, some movies and stuff. So maybe my imagination of how life plays out is a bit like better than others. That helps. Let's say
that's another very cool approach as well. That you sort of see, okay, this is the path where I am. I don't need to hit the peak, but I can imagine where I would be if I continued on and path, and this would be the peak. And do I like that? What is that going to be? And then
do I like where I'm heading?
Yeah.
What's my heading at?
Does it and then this like mental shift can happen, because it's always because I've often felt that fear is a big motivator. Like you can use it actually. Fear of something or fear in general as well is something that can be harnessed, it can be used, and that is what I feel that a lot of again the ancient warriors or those people would tell them that you need to harness your fear, you need to use it, sharpen your senses. That is what that is what I've seen many cultures do as well. You don't suppress your fear, you just use it.
Just maybe like to also help with this topic for men especially, there's a book by David Deida, Way of a Superior Man. I think this is the type of book that is really, really beneficial. It's available as a free audible version in SoundCloud even, and also on YouTube and stuff. That's something that I would suggest all men to be listening or reading. And regarding, let's say, the topics that your culture more has, regarding like family interconnected things, then the writer Nick Russell has good books on this one.
He's Russian.
Yeah, it's a Russian writer. One is especially good is like Ema armastus in Estonian, but it would be then Mother Love or something. It's not been translated, so I don't know how to get this thing, but maybe.
But it's in Estonian. Yeah.
It's in Estonian, but also in Russian. I don't know the Russian title as well. So, but whoever is aware of those languages, can find some help on this one. And it's also, some say it's even better read for the mothers.
Okay.
So the mothers are the ones who kind of also are in very much involved in this process.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Okay, but I think we can wrap it up here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great having you, Taavi. And
thanks for having me, of course.
Yeah, it's always interesting talking to you.
I feel famous now.
Yeah, you are. I mean, yeah. I know we talked about Stephen before as well, but you were the one who I think sort of like became a bridge connection between me and
I asked from Stephen. Stephen said that he totally kind of wrote you
before
by himself, and I don't know. I think not. I
think it was more
he found you by himself. So.
But it's like interesting that you are working with him.
But maybe like algorithms are helping out here.
Probably.
Yeah, because algorithms are suggesting similar things by similar people, and so it might be this thing.
Yeah, but small world, small Estonia. But on that note, let's wrap up the podcast. It was really casual, interesting, and just a normal conversation. So if you find something interesting, you can write down in the comments, and all the best.
Yeah, thank you.